Hello, everyone. It's good to see everyone today. We're coming to worship today in the middle of this pandemic and the crisis that's going on. Certainly, we need to come together and worship in love and in truth. We are here at the faith community. We're maintaining our faith even in the middle of the crisis. And we're so glad that you are able to join us today. And if you can, if you will, share if you can, because we have a word that's coming forward today that will encourage you, motivate you, edify you, and lift you during this time. So we're having a word from our pastor, Pastor Smith, and of course, from Associate Minister Brother Grayson. So they have a word for you today. And so to start the service today, I have two scriptures. The theme for today is power and pride. And the first scripture I'll be reading for you The first scripture that I'll be reading for you will be coming from James chapter 1, verses 2 through 8. And this scripture really edifies and lifts the theme of power. And the word reads as such: My brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of any kind, consider it nothing but joy, because you know that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And let endurance have its full effect, so that you may be mature and complete, lacking in nothing. If any of you is lacking in wisdom, ask God, who gives to all generously and ungrudgingly, and it will be given to you. But ask in faith, never doubting, for the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, driven and tossed in the wind. For the doubter, being double-minded and unstable in every way, must not expect to receive anything from the Lord. And the scripture this morning for pride comes from Psalms 139, 13 through 15. For it was you who formed my inward parts. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, that I know very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of this earth. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of God's word. I'm going to ask that you bow your heads with me in prayer. God, creator, healer, purveyor, helper, and deliverer, we come to the throne of our hearts this morning, thankful, grateful for your wisdom and your wonder-working power, grateful for life and your lifting power, grateful for strength and your sustaining power, grateful for hope and your healing power. And so, God, we say thank you this morning. Thank you for wisdom, thank you for life, and thank you for strength. Thank you, God, for creating us in your image, in the image of spirit, in the image of love, in the image of peace, in the image of hope, in the image of forgiveness. Let us be a direct reflection of your righteousness during these tumultuous times. Give us the fortitude to run on in your name, and for your sake, let us, our life, be the Bible that the world reads. Let us be walking, talking epistles of your good work, your wonder, and your wisdom. Let us be disciples in a diseased world, prophetic in a problematic world, and healers in a hostile world. For God, it is with pride that we proclaim the power that you have provisioned for your people. God, we come praying for every leader in this nation and on the planet, whether elected or selected. Let them be corrected and perfected according to your will. God, we are asking that you make yourself known in every home in our country, in every hand in our community, and in every heart of every citizen. We come praying for healing of every sickness, COVID-19, cancer, AIDS, and every disease that afflicts your people. We come praying that TFC will spread TLC in a world that needs it desperately. We come praying for the pastor of this great movement, Pastor Christian Smith. Become praying for a word today that will rest, rule, and abide and change hearts and minds of your people for your good and for our greater good. We pray all these things with the spirit of the resurrected Christ that lives within our hearts, and his name is Jesus. Let everybody say amen.
Amen. Well, we welcome you to worship and welcome to Power and Pride Worship. We are so excited that you have tuned in and that you're joining us here at TFC. We believe in God music, so it may not necessarily be gospel music, but it's God inspired. And so today we're going to kick off worship a little bit differently, but we hope that you join in with us. Some of you all may know this song. Some of you all may not, but we think that the content and the message of the song is super important. So just listen to the words and join in with us if you can, if you know it. If not, just sit back, relax, and just really think about what we're singing. So we're going to sing a song called Glory by John Legend and Common. Words are really simple, not too hard. Whoa, one day when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, one day when the war is won, we will be sure. We will be sure. Oh, glory, glory. Oh, glory, glory. Oh, glory, glory. Oh, glory. Oh, glory, glory. Oh, glory, glory. Oh, glory, glory. Hey, glory. Let's take it back one time. Oh, one day when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, one day when the war is won, we will be sure. We will be sure. Oh, glory, glory. Oh, glory, glory. Oh, glory, glory. Oh, the glory is coming. Glory. Oh, hang on in there, glory. Oh, glory, glory. Oh, glory, glory. Oh, glory, oh, glory, glory. Oh, glory, yeah, glory, oh, we keep marching, glory comes, we'll keep praying, glory comes, we'll keep moving, glory comes, the glory comes, when one day, I'll be free, yes, one day, I'll be free, yes, one day, I'll be free, the glory's coming, the glory's coming, to the glory, oh, glory, oh, the glory, oh, one day, when the glory comes, it will be ours. It will be ours. Oh, one day when the war is won, we will be sure. We will be sure. Oh, glory, glory. Oh, glory, glory. Yeah, glory. Oh, glory, oh, glory, glory. Don't give up, the glory's coming. Glory. Don't give in, the glory's coming. Glory. hang on in there. Oh, glory. Oh, glory. Hang on in there, the glory is coming. Don't you dare give up, the glory is coming. Oh, keep on fighting. Yeah, keep on fighting. Yeah, keep on fighting. Hey, the glory is coming. Hey, don't you dare give in. Oh, don't you dare give in. Oh, the glory is coming. Hey, the glory is coming. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Yeah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Amen. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. His truth is marching on. His truth is marching on.
My God, Jesus said in the 11th chapter and the 40th verse of the Gospel of John, he said, if you believe, you'll see the glory of God. And we have come as a group of believers in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of racial unrest, telling you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God. And that's how we can stand here on this Saturday in June and say, glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on because we believe that we will see the glory of God. This is the day that the Lord has made. And so we rejoice and we are glad in it because we will see the glory of our great God. That's right. Welcome to the faith community. We're a place of limitless love and boundless connection. And we are glad that you chose to join in and worship with us virtually from wherever you are across the globe. We want you to share this service. So go ahead right now on your phone, hit the share button. Let somebody know that the faith community is on, that we are worshiping together, and we will see the glory of God in this service. Listen, we're so glad that you're here. We want you to let us know that you're here. So take a picture. Let us know that you're worshiping with the faith community. Hashtag it, TFCATL. Hashtag it, Power in Pride. We want to know that you are worshiping with us at the faith community. And then lastly, what we want to do is we want to serenade you. We want to sing welcome to you because we believe you're a valuable part of our worship experience. So we say welcome to the faith community. Welcome to the faith community.
All right, we haven't sang this since February, so I know I'm excited to be here. Let's sing it together, everybody, right where you are. Sing welcome to the faith community. We are receiving harmony, a place where we are free to be. We are a faith community. Let's sing Everybody, let's sing it again. One more time, sing. We haven't been here together since February, and I am excited. I'm so excited to be here in the building with just a few people from the faith community. I don't want you to be alarmed. We don't have a room full of people. We are practicing social distancing. I have a wipe in my hand right now. Before Mariel comes to lead us further in worship, I'm going to wipe it down because I want you to see me. Because it is very important to us that we practice safety for all of our members. So thank you to our members who are worshiping with us virtually. Thank you to friends of the faith community who are worshiping with us virtually. And now our wonderful, wonderful, wonderful worship leader, Mariel Thomas, is going to lead us further in worship.
Yes, ma'am.
So maybe a few months ago, before the pandemic hit, our worship pastor, Myron Randall, we were setting the room back to how it is, and we were about to break down and leave. And he was like, "Have y'all heard this song? It's a really good song. I think we should do it." And it's called Psalms 23. And he began to play it for us. And I promise you, you could hear it like a pin drop in the room, because that's how powerful the song was. And we were thinking about, okay, so what song do we sing, for power and pride? This song came back up. And we just thought that the message of the song was just so important to what we see happening in the country, the world. And we felt like people needed to be reminded that God is with them. Because you have enough people telling you that your life may not matter, that who you are isn't good enough, but we have a God that loves us, who created us, who we know is always with us, even when it feels like we're by ourselves. He's always there. And so we're going to sing this song for you. That's called Psalms 23. And I want you to just hear the words and reflect on them. If you know it, sing along, join in with us. We would love to have you joining us with us in worship. So, the Lord is my shepherd. It's called response. It says, He goes before me. He goes before me. Defender behind me. Defender behind me. So we say, I won't fear. I won't fear. Yeah. It says, I'm filled with anointing. Filled with anointing. Yeah. And it says, my cup's overflowing. My cup's overflowing. This is the important part. No weapon can harm you. No weapon can harm you. We sing, I won't fear. I won't fear. So we lift up our voices and sing hallelujah. I'm not alone. Oh, why? Because He's my comfort. And He always holds me close. Let's take it back to the top. See, the Lord is my shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd. Here's the good news. He goes before me. He goes before me. And He's the defender behind me. Defender behind me. So here's my declaration. I won't fear. I won't fear. Say, I'm filled with anointing. Filled with anointing. Love's overflowing. No weapon can harm me. Oh, I won't. Yeah. So we sing hallelujah. I am not alone. I'm never alone. I'm never alone. I'm never alone. 'Cause he's my comfort. And he always comes close. Yeah. We sing hallelujah. I am not alone. You're never alone. You're never alone. You're never alone. 'Cause he's your comfort. I love this next part. Your spirit lives within me, so I will walk in your peace. Your spirit lives within me, my victory, my victory. Your spirit lives within me, so I will walk in your peace. Your spirit lives within me, my victory, my victory, my victory. Your spirit lives within me, so I will walk in your Cause he's my comfort. He's my comfort. Always holds me close. Can we say that again? Can we say it again? Sing hallelujah. Hallelujah. I am not alone. He's my comfort. He's my comfort. Always holds me close. And you will never. Thank you, Jesus. I am here with you. Though we're far apart, you're always in my heart. Yes. You're not alone. I am here with you. Though we're far away, I am here to stay. You are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone. So hallelujah, I am not alone. Everybody in the room, help me say, 'cause he's my Can we sing it one more time? Just the voices. Sing hallelujah. Hallelujah. Say we're not alone. I am not alone. Even when they walk away from you, even when they've left you, because he's my comfort. He's my comfort. And he always holds me close. Can we say it just one more time? One more time. Somebody needs to hear it again. Sing hallelujah. Hallelujah. I am not alone. I am not alone. Hey. I'm not in this thing by myself, because he's my comfort. He's my comfort. Always holds me
Hallelujah. I am not alone. He's my comfort, always holds me close. Can we sing that again? Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I am not alone. God, we thank you that we're not alone today. Say, he's my comfort. He's my comfort, always holds me close. One more time, everybody, sing it. Sing, hallelujah. Hallelujah. I am not alone. Everybody, right where you are, say, he's my comfort together right here. He's my comfort, always holds me close. God, we thank you so much today that we're not alone. While we felt alone over these past few months, we thank you that you are always with us. We thank you that you have never left us. You have never forsaken us. Even when we felt forsaken, we thank you by the mere fact that there is breath in our bodies. It says that you're still with us. So we thank you for the breath that we breathe. Even when we wear masks on our face, we thank you that we still have breath. We thank you for this moment. We thank you for your presence in this place and how you already met us here. We thank you for this occasion, this unique occasion, where we come together as your creation, different shades, different colors, different orientations, different everything, but all created by you. And we thank you for how you created us, and we make no apologies, but we stand today in our power and in our pride and say thank you. Thank you for making us how you did. Thank you for making us how you did. Thank you for making us how you did. And now, God, we need to hear from you. If you don't speak, we won't hear anything. We need to hear from you today. So in Jesus' name we pray. Hello. He's my comfort, always holds me close. Yeah. Hallelujah. I am not alone. He's my comfort, always holds me close. Wherever you are, if you would just worship a little bit with us, comment in the thread, hit the like, hit the hearts, worship right where you are. We hate that we can't be with you, but we're glad that we're still connected in this way. Thank you, God. I am excited today about our Power and Pride worship experience here at the Faith Community for a number of reasons. We started this tradition a year ago, and it is amazing how far God has brought us in that year. And I'm excited because I have my little brother here, this young phenom, Grayson Hester.
Adopted.
My adopted little brother, amen. My little brother in the spirit. And we're going to preach together today. Should be a very engaging experience. We hope that you'll pray with us. We want to come from this thought for just a few moments. I'm Black.
And I'm proud.
Great job.
Good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are. I don't know how global our audience here is today, but we've got to cover all the bases. It is an honor and a privilege in every sense of the word to be here preaching for my first time at the Faith Community. I've been a part of this church for about a year and a half, almost 2 years now, and I'm so thrilled to be preaching in this day, on this day, Power and Pride, because I'm proud and he's Black, but he's not the mic, so that didn't work. I tried it. So today, I know that we have thrown a lot of scripture at you, but I'm going to provide two more for you. The first one is Luke 3:21 through 22 in the New Revised Standard Version, which I will refer to as the NRSV. And then Proverbs 16:18, I'm going to throw you a curveball, and I'm going to read from the King James Version, or as we call it, the KJV. So the first passage, Luke 3:21 through 22, New Revised Standard. Now, when all the people were baptized, and when Jesus also had been baptized and was praying, the heaven was opened, and the Holy Spirit descended upon him in bodily form like a dove. And a voice from heaven said, "You are my Son, the beloved. With you I am well pleased." Thanks be to God. And the second verse is Proverbs 16:18 from the KJV, King James Version. Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall.
Are you sure you want to preach that? That's what you want to preach today?
I think you're going to have to take it up with Mama Spirit.
Okay, all right, let's go. Let's go. All right, I'm here for it.
And also, I just want to say thank you to everyone here in the Faith Community today. Thank you to my big brother, Christian, for agreeing to do this unorthodox thing that we're doing, which is the whole of the Faith Community, but this sermon in particular. And thank you to the worship team who are sitting behind us for your beautiful music.
Amazing.
Worship team sitting over here. Myron Randall for being our director and our disinfector. For Tierney Jordan, who is running the cameras, who has shot us in the head with a thermometer and hand sanitized us. We are so privileged and proud. And thank you to William Glenn Bean for that beautiful prayer and intro. I'm honored to be here among you. So I just want to let y'all make sure you have the recognition you deserve. And for those of y'all who aren't here, we're talking about the heavens opening up while it's pouring outside. So you might hear some thunder. That's just God speaking, as we like to say. So if you've heard this saying before, pride goeth before the fall, I would like you to do us a favor and just hit the react button, add a comment, just let us know. Interact with us, because you're as much a part of this worship as anyone in the room. Let us know if you've heard this before at any point in your life. Pride goeth before the fall. And while I can't see what y'all are saying out there in internet land, I would only imagine that the majority of the people in this room and a lot of y'all out there have heard that before. Even if you've never set foot in the church before, or you have, and then you decided never to again, that phrase from the KJV to the JZ, pride goeth before the fall, is one of those vaguely Christian-y sayings that I'm sure some grandma out there has cross-stitched little tone deaf into a pillow, because it has staked its claim in our popular lexicon and imagination. It's just a part of who we are as Christians, as Americans, which means it's also a part of how we view the world. Now, Christian and I chose this proverb, Proverbs 16:18 today, because it seems to symbolize, in a few words, entire theologies. You know the ones. The theologies seemingly rooted in love that base their entire structure on the notion of you are essentially depraved and fundamentally broken. Nice to meet you. The theologies that view self-love, which is very important to us in the faith community, that view self-love and self-care as sinful, as selfish, as, you guessed it, prideful. The theologies that condemn an entire movement called pride in general, and parades in particular, as sinful because, well, honey, pride just goes before a fall. A quick side note, I chose to use the KJV, and this is one of my favorite fun facts. It's not something I usually do, but this sermon is all about uplifting queer voices, and King James was, shall we say, vivacious. That means gay. Now, this view of pride that this proverb seems to typify, I got some beef with that. Okay. Wendy's asked, where's the beef? And y'all, it's right here. Because I got beef with a mentality that betrays a gross misunderstanding of the Bible and of pride alike. There's a vast difference between a haughty spirit, somebody using a political office for their own gain, for example, just from my imagination, and the kind of pride that allows us to get out of bed in the morning with some amount of dignity. This proverb is likely speaking to the latter, to the first one. But what we're addressing here today is, of course, power and pride. Now, I'm going to reach a little bit, but it seems like progressives are afraid of the first one, power, and conservatives are afraid of the second one, pride. We, in the progressive world, critique power often, and rightfully so, especially when it's abused. But we rarely discuss how necessary it is for social change. They, in the conservative world, condemn pride as the root of all evil, expressly because it is also necessary for social change. And queer pride demonstrates this both in glittery glory. There's that glory. All you need to know for that statement to make sense is that the first pride, 51 years ago, was a riot, led by people who, for all intents and purposes, should have had neither pride nor power. I am, of course, talking about queer women and trans women of color in particular, Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, do a Google. But in spite of complete abandonment from their own communities and from the straight world at large, in spite of that total systematic oppression, they did have pride. Their response to that oppression was glorious, flamboyant, unapologetic pride. And it was that pride that gave them and continues to give queer people all over the world our power. It was that pride that enabled Black queer activists like Alicia Garza to start Black Lives Matter. And we argue, it is that pride that enabled Jesus to be the Jesus we know and love today.
Talk to us, man.
It is that pride that enabled Jesus to be Jesus. Yes, my friends, our argument here today is not that pride goeth before a fall, but that pride always goeth before a rise.
Help us.
For the purposes of this sermon, I'm going to refer to Jesus as non-binary. Now, while Jesus was indisputably biologically male, he hung naked on a cross for all to see, I'll just leave it there, and likely cisgender, meaning that his gender identity would correspond with the sex he was assigned at birth, male, Jesus, nonetheless, as human and divine, was non-binary. Just as non-binary people today embody aspects of masculinity and femininity and cannot be categorized solely as either, Jesus embodied humanity and divinity
Talk to us, sir.
and could not be categorized solely as either.
Yes, sir. That's good theology.
As such, Jesus was literally not a binary.
That's good.
So I'm going to steal Christian's thunder and say a phrase, sanctified imagination. He's going to use it later. And I'm going to use that sanctified imagination. And I would encourage all y'all in here, out there, to do the same. Imagine, if you will, what it must be like to just wake up one day and realize that you're literally God incarnate. I mean, I know we could ask Beyonce this question to get an idea, but her PR people never call me back. So imagination it is. Like, I cannot even begin to fathom, even as somebody who had to wake up to my own marginalized identity, what it must have been like for scrappy little kid Jesus to survey all the other brown-skinned, sandy-toed kids running around and think, why am I so different from them? Mom, why? I just don't understand. Why am I so different from them? What must it have been like for Jesus to stay closeted about an identity he knew would get him killed, which it did, or kicked out, which it did? One can imagine that it took Jesus over 30 years to begin his public ministry because it took 3 decades for him to muster up the courage to simply be himself.
Come on. Wow.
It took 30 years to begin his public ministry because it took 3 decades to muster up the courage to just be himself. And Jesus, a working class, Jewish, politically black, physically brown, refugee person living under imperial oppression, already had a target on his back. And he was likely keenly aware of the way in which empires very much like our own do little with non-binary people except do away with them.
Come on, sir. Come on, sir.
Just like all black and brown queer people, Jesus, Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, are born with targets on their backs simply because of their physical characteristics. And then they, like Jesus, consistently make the decision to make that target even bigger, or just burn targets down. Why? I mean, the deals are great, but why would they ever risk their already precarious lives by coming out as non-binary? By performing miracles. Why would Jesus come out by performing miracles and letting people know he's both man and divine when that's so dangerous? Why would people already crushed by racism and classism and sexism and the full weight of America's obese greed willingly add another boot to their neck? My answer today, friends, is pride. We can't help but be who we are. And I'm not even just talking about gay or queer or straight or white or black or brown, but our universal, fundamental, most irrevocable status, which is beloved. You see, my friends, what it took for Jesus stoneworker from that podunk backwater town of Nazareth. Yet God, in whose image Jesus was made and from whose word Jesus was breathed, said, "You are beloved." That is your identity, the most essential truth about you. It is written in stone and it cannot be changed. The thing that God said to Jesus 2,000 years ago is the same thing God says to you today, right now. This unconditional love and pride is yours. You, whoever you are and wherever you're watching from, are beloved. It is your essential truth. It is your birthright. Now, it is in this moment at his baptism that Jesus is imbued with the pride necessary to begin the 3 years of ministry that would end his life. Now, God at this moment is saying, I am proud of you. You know this identity you've kept hidden your whole life, this fear you've been harboring, these questions that have been keeping you up at night? All of them, each one, is beautiful. You are beloved, and I love you just as you are. This pride gave Jesus his power. And you have heard it said that pride goeth before the fall. But I tell you here today, pride goeth before the rise.
That's interesting you would say that, Grayson, and I totally agree. That whole concept of pride goes before the rise, because this pride that God had in Jesus actually went before his rise to power.
That's right.
That's why we're talking about power and pride. I mean, God says to Jesus, I'm proud of you. And in that moment, Jesus begins his ministry, which leads him to persecution on the cross, burial in a grave. But, you know, in the Baptist church, we got to take it there early Sunday morning. He rose with all power. So pride comes before Jesus's rise to power. Power is a term that most of us understand. I mean, it is encouraging for some, but it conjures up mixed emotions. So like you said earlier, for a lot of people, it incites fear.
That's right.
When we say the term Black power, it incites fear in people. But really, it's a simple compound statement. Black power, black and power. 2 words, very simple, nothing really crazy. But people don't seem to have a problem with the word power. There's no issue with the word power. But people tend to have a problem with Black power. Power simply means the capacity for accomplishment. That's it. Plain and simple.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Many of us who have been in this pandemic during this course of time, you know, we've been trying to manage our weight, but some of us, like me, have been struggling because we don't have enough willpower.
Tell us today.
Talk to us.
And then if you're like me, because you don't have the willpower about your eating, you try to offset it by going on daily power walks. Because power has no innate value in and of itself. It's about how you use it. Many of us have been stuck in the house for the past few months, and our cars have been sitting parked with useless horsepower. And throughout this entire process, it seems like we've been undermined by a president who since day one has been on a power trip. So power in and of itself does not have any inherent value, but for some reason, when we add Black to it, some people think that all of a sudden makes it evil. But power can be used for good or for evil, depending on how you use it. So my question is, why is it when we say Black power, people get uncomfortable? If we really consider it, the racial idea of whiteness was created to assert evil power over people of African descent.
So that's why white power carries a negative connotation, because the construct of whiteness was created to oppress people. But blackness wasn't created in the same way. Blackness is a byproduct of whiteness that was used to keep people that look like me oppressed. That was used to control our minds, our bodies, and our spirits. It was used to kill everything that God had put in us, the power innate within us. Blackness was created to kill that. But it's interesting that no matter how much that oppression has been placed on us, there's something in us that won't let us die. There's something in us that keeps us living. There's a divinity within us that was here from the beginning that will not allow us to give up, that will not allow us to keep from going forward. That's why we declare Black power, not as a means to impose evil onto others, but rather to ignite the divinity within ourselves. That's why James Brown told us in 1968, say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. That's why Public Enemy told us in 1989, fight the power. Fight the powers that be. And Moses and Grayson, you looked at the pride of Jesus. I just want to, if you don't mind, look at the power of Moses.
Let's do it.
Because if we consider Moses, he was a person who used his power to fight the power. It's right there in Exodus chapter 2, verses 11 through 15. I'll read it for you. It says, one day after Moses had grown up, he went out to his people and saw their forced labor. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his kinfolk. He looked this way and that, and seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. When he went out the next day, he saw two Hebrews fighting. And he said to the one who was in the wrong, why do you strike your fellow Hebrew? And he answered, who made you the ruler and judge over us? Do you mean to kill me as you killed the Egyptian? Then Moses was afraid and thought, surely the thing is known. When Pharaoh heard of it, he sought to kill Moses. Moses has to enact some power right here because in his context, oppression was not race-based. Right. Egyptians and Hebrews shared the same melanated hue. I think I want to say that again in case somebody missed it. Egyptians and Hebrews, the Israelites, shared the same melanated hue, yet the Egyptians still had their knee of oppression on the Hebrews' necks. And Moses goes out, he understands he has some power within himself, and he sees an Egyptian brutalizing his Hebrew kinfolk. And it says that he killed the Egyptian in defense of his Hebrew brother. Now, I'm not suggesting that we kill our oppressors. Before you write me off and say, Christian is telling us to go out and kill our oppressors, that's not what I'm saying. I will say, don't let them kill you.
Yeah. Okay.
But more importantly, it's not that we should kill our oppressors, but we should kill the systems of oppression they have put into place.
Say that.
Yeah, we need to kill some of these systems that have been put into place to keep us down, to keep knees on our necks, because we have the power to make some real change. We have the power to make voting easier for everyone. We have the power to reform the entire policing system. We have the power to tear down the prison industrial complex. We have the power to cause justice to roll down like water and righteousness as a mighty stream. We have the power. But my people of that melanated hue, there's a problem. And not just those of melanated hue, everybody. But I like to talk to my people. There's a problem because our power is being split right now. Our power is
being split between good and evil at times. And I think we need to take a look at that because Moses saw the Egyptian brutalizing the Hebrew, and he defended his Hebrew kinfolk. The next day, it says he saw two Hebrews fighting amongst themselves, and he went up to them. And the text says, he said to the one who was in the wrong, "Why are you striking your fellow Hebrew?" I love that. I love what the text says. You may have missed it. I think we need to stop right there. The text says, Moses said to the Hebrew who was in the wrong. The text doesn't leave the option for neither of them to be wrong. This is not a matter of differences of opinion. The text doesn't leave this as an option to agree to disagree. No, because if your disagreement with me is rooted in my lack of humanity and right to exist, somebody got to be wrong. And Moses says to the one who was wrong, "Why is it that you strike your Hebrew brother?" The text doesn't say which one of them was wrong. But if you would allow me to use my sanctified imagination and my academic insight, I would suggest that it was the one who abused their power and privilege over the other who was in the wrong. It was the Hebrew man who degraded the Hebrew woman who was in the wrong. It was the rich Hebrew who scoffed at the poor Hebrew who was in the wrong. It was the straight Hebrew that oppressed the Q plus Hebrew that was in the wrong. And Moses is saying, listen, we're not going to be able to use the full potential of our power if we're beating on each other. We're not going to be able to dismantle these systems that are coming against us if we keep oppressing each other to the ones in the wrong. We can't continue to split our power. We can't continue to split our power and fight against each other. It reminds me of a phone call that my brother had to make to his internet provider.
Your biological brother.
My biological brother, my big brother Will. No. So my brother's house is the hangout spot. Anything that's going on, we go to my brother's house. We having to get together, we go to my brother's house. The kids want to have a party, we go to my brother's house. Somebody need a place to stay, they stay at my brother's house. As we speak, Pamela and I are waiting for my brother to finish out his basement so we can move in. Everybody goes to my brother's house. Well, one day my brother was having a problem with the speed of his devices on his home Wi-Fi, and he called his internet provider. He said, "Hey, I paid for the best service. I paid for the fastest service. I need y'all to do something about this because everything I'm doing is moving slow." And the rep on the other line said, "I'm so sorry. You're absolutely right. You did pay for the best service, and we're actually giving you the best service. Do you have any idea how many devices are connected to your Wi-Fi?" My brother said, "Yeah, probably about 9 or 10. The rep said, "No, you got 39 devices connected to your Wi-Fi. So the problem you have is not that you don't have enough power, but you have devices fighting against each other, using up the power that we gave to you. And if you want to have faster service, maybe if you would stop the devices from fighting each other over the power, your device will be able to move faster." Come here, people. Let me tell you something real quick. If we would stop fighting each other for the power, we might be able to move faster to where God is trying to get us to. And that's what Moses was telling the Hebrew. That's what he was telling the Hebrew. He says, black power is weakened when it doesn't include black women.
Talk to us.
Black power is fractured when black Q plus persons are required to walk in shame and despair rather than in pride. And Grayson, I prophetically stand in the shoes of Moses to say to the people in the wrong, we need to cease from striking those who are in the struggle with us.
Just gonna let that rest for a second.
That's good. Real good.
And also say that Moses has some very nicely designed shoes.
Okay.
Who designed those?
So good. So good.
Anyways, Breonna Taylor.
Breonna Taylor, arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor.
Arrest the cops.
Please, God.
You know, Christian, I've discovered that power and pride go together.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. It's probably, definitely why Black power and queer pride are condemned. Actually, it's why pride and power in general are condemned. Because you know, Christian, it does not benefit the powers that be to convince us of the power in me.
Say that again.
We'll say that again. Actually, it does not benefit the powers that be to convince us of the power in me. Despair and hopelessness, self-loathing and hatred keep people emotionally crippled and socially immobilized. To hate oneself is to do still more unpaid labor for an unfeeling system. More unpaid labor. Self-hatred is like building within one's own body a cathedral to the straight white Jesus. I'm going to say that one again too. Self-hatred is like building within your own body, based off the blueprints that somebody whose best interests they don't have, a cathedral to the straight white Jesus. And that benefits no one but the people who are lining up to worship there and take all of your tithes. The people who made you hate yourself in the first place.
My God.
That's why Barbara Brown Taylor named pride as the cure for despair, and despair as the root of all evil. Despair is what limits our imagination, what makes us feel depraved, what indeed destroys the world. Do you think it's happiness and pride that is causing this pride to go on this project? Does he seem like a happy man to you? Prayer surveys the vast universes within ourselves and the ever-expanding universe around us and says, you know what? I know better than God.
My God.
I know, despite God calling me and you and my family, all out there, but despite God naming us and creating us beloved, and naming and creating the world as very good, despite all of that, actually hopeless. 20 is higher. It's the end. We God is the right answer. But you know what, friends? That's not true. Despair is nothing but death without the benefit of a tombstone.
That wasn't it, God.
Despair is nothing but death without the benefit of a tombstone.
So good.
And we are called to life and life abundant, not life and life hopeless, not life and life chasing whiteness, not life and life chasing maleness or approval, not life and life chasing straightness, not life and life in depression, but life and life abundant.
Yeah.
So my friends, pride doesn't goeth before the fall. Despair goeth before the fall.
Talk to us.
Pride, however, is power, and power is pride. Pride goeth before the rise. Pride says, I am beloved.
Yeah.
Pride says, because I am good, and because this world is good, I am going to do whatever it takes to fight those liars which tell us otherwise.
Yeah.
Pride needs, and you like talking to your people, I'm going to talk to my people.
Talk to him, please.
Pride needs to look like advocating for all queer people, not just the ones who look like me or dress like me or love like me. If white gay men like me do not stand with our black and brown siblings, and our pride is nothing but a sham. And the only thing we are chasing is an identity that's slightly more interesting and slightly less guilt-ridden than being white.
Help us in here. My God.
That's nothing worth chasing. Now, pride may look like a burning police car or dropping upon it a bag of bricks, as Marsha P. Johnson was rumored to do. Pride may look like a riot or a revolutionary self-love. It may look like a brown, non-binary Jewish refugee from Nazareth, or a white gay man from rural Appalachia, or a black straight man from Oakland. It may look like a parade or a protest. But whatever form it takes, its fundamental truth remains. To take pride in yourself is to take back your power, which is your birthright. To take pride in yourself is to take back your power. To do anything less now, Christian, now that's the fall.
Yeah, that's good, because like you said, we can't let each other fall. People of power and pride, we can't let each other fall. And I want to take it a step further. We shouldn't cause each other to fall. And that's right. That's what Moses was trying to say to the Hebrew person in the wrong. He says, listen, we can't cause each other to fall if we're going to get free. My people, we're too beautiful. We're too powerful to allow our power to be divided in good and evil. And Moses goes out and he tries to tell them, look, we can't do this. But unfortunately, it doesn't always work out. Moses went to his Hebrew brother and said, who are you? Who are you to tell me? You can't tell me. Look, I know what you did yesterday. How you gonna tell me what to do today? And the unfortunate thing is, sometimes it's the people you want to help the most who will hurt you the most. It's the people that you want to advocate for and help set free who sometimes will hurt you the most. I know some of my black gay friends can help me out with this one, because we see you on the front lines advocating for black liberation, while it is people like me in the straight black category who are still hurting you as you advocate for all of us.
My goodness.
Sometimes people just say, I don't need your help. I don't want your help. And because Moses was trying to help this Hebrew person, the Hebrew person resented him for it. It's the people that you want to help the most sometimes will hurt you the most, because familiarity breeds contempt. It's the ones who are the most familiar with you who sometimes will be the hardest to help. They'll say, oh, that's just Marielle. She just sing. Well, Marielle don't tell me. She's just a singer. She can't tell me nothing.
You can't tweet those things.
Yeah. Oh, that's just Grayson. He just moved to Atlanta like 3 hours ago. Now he want to tell me about racial justice. And Christian, who do you think you are? You just got your little degree like last week, and now you want to write books about theology like you an expert or something.
That's a good book, by the way.
Because familiarity will breed contempt when the people you're trying to help the most are the ones who are hurting you the most. And unfortunately, that's what happened with Moses. I got good news, though. Verse 15 is not the end of the story. Moses had to leave. His commitment to Hebrew power,
yes, sir,
caused him to lose his network. He lost his home and he lost his normalcy, and he had to flee the people who resented him and the oppressors who wanted him dead. But when Moses fled to a foreign country, he encountered people who met him with curiosity rather than contempt.
I hear you, sir.
And the people in the foreign land were the ones that allowed him to help and serve. And he stayed in that foreign land for a period of time until God came and got his attention and said, hey, those people that resented you in the past, I need you to go save them.
My God. My God.
The Pharaoh that wanted to kill you, yeah, he's dead. But the system that was oppressing you, that's still in place. And I need you to go back and save the people that resented you. And I need you to go back and dismantle the system that had its knee on your neck. And Moses says to God, well, who am I going to tell them sent me? And God says, listen, Moses,
You can't put me into any categories. I'm non-binary. I am that I am. I'm not a man. I'm not a woman. I'm not this. I'm not that. I am that I am. Don't try to put me into your categories, your social constructs that you created. I'm God. And I am that I am. Now go back and save the people that resented you. And that's where I'm going to leave you today. We got to get out of here. We've already gone over our time. I want you to know that the people who have been resenting you, God is going to send you to save them. So I want you to continue to walk in the power that God has placed in you, because the people that want to see you dead, they're going to die trying to kill you. Just like Moses, when he got the Israelites out, Pharaoh and his army came and chased them, and they died trying to kill Moses. So I want you to keep on walking in your power. I don't want you to give up. I just want to tell you that no oppression can dismantle our power. Yes, sir. No resentment can cripple our power. I don't care how low it gets. I come to tell you that you will rise. I don't care how hard it gets. I come to tell you that you will keep moving forward. So walk in your power. I feel the spirit of the pundit rising up in me. And I want you to stride in your pride. And no matter how low you feel, I want you to say it loud every chance you get. I'm black. And I'm proud. I'm black. And I'm proud. I'm black. And I'm proud. Put your hands together. We just want you to know, wherever you are, be proud of who you are. Yes, Lord. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of who you are. God made you that way. That's right. It's not just limited to how you look on the outside, but it's who you are on the inside. I know people will try to judge you just purely based on who you are on the outside, but God said, I created you inside and out. Be proud of who I created you to be. And the faith community is here today to let you know that you're not alone. Be proud, be powerful. You're not alone. There are people just like you who know that God created us to be just as we are. That's right. Yes, sir. Yes. I'm not ashamed of my blackness. I don't want Grayson or anybody else in my church to be ashamed of their orientation or their gender. That's how God created us. That's right. We don't have to apologize to anybody for who God created us to be. You're powerful. You have a reason to be proud. And if you want to walk in that power and walk in that pride, we would love to walk with you. Faith community is here today because we want to walk with you in that power and in that pride. So I don't care whether you're black and or proud. Faith community wants to be a partner with you in that journey. So we want to extend an invitation today. At Faith Community, what we extend is an invitation to love. Because that's the root of the gospel. That's the root of our faith. Jesus said the greatest commandment is that we love God with our heart, our mind, and our souls. And the second part is like it, that says we love our neighbors as ourselves. So our love for God is expressed in how we love our neighbors. And our love for our neighbor is exhibited, it's reflected in how we love ourselves. We just want to extend an invitation for you to love. We want to extend an invitation for you to learn how to love yourself, maybe for the first time in your life. And if you want to take that journey with us, this is what we're going to ask you to do. Text disruptive to 31996. Text disruptive to 31996. If you'll do that, fill out the brief information. We're going to get in contact with you to take you the rest of the journey. Because we want to start this process with you. This is just an invitation to love. We want you to love yourself, because you can't love God if you don't love yourself. Right. You can't love your neighbor fully if you don't love yourself. So text disruptive to 31996, because you are not alone. Can we put our hands together? Oh, man. Grayson, it was fun preaching with you today, man. It was fun preaching with you today. I
I haven't preached in front of anybody since February, so this is like brand new to me almost. We want to hurry to our close so people can get out of this weather and you can go on with the rest of your day. But before, we would be remiss if we did not give you an opportunity to sow a seed and invest into the work that this community is doing. My minister of finance is back there clapping right now. As my friend Tiger Gibson would say, no worship experience is complete without an offering. And the work that we're doing here is so important, and it costs money, and we need your help. If you'll help us, we want to invest in you. Hopefully we have already invested something into you. We want to ask you to invest back into us. So give out of the abundance that God has given to you. There are some ways you can do that. Those ways are going to be up on the screen. You can give through the Givelify app, through Cash App at TFC ATL. You can go to our website and give there as well. There are a number of ways that you can give. And we want to give you an opportunity. I'm not even going to rush through it. I'm sure Glenn will be proud of me for this. I'm not going to just rush through it, but I'm going to play some walking music and give you time to get your phone out and go on and give, because I want to see some giving taking place. So just want to praise you forever and ever, yeah, and ever, for all you've done. Help us sing wherever you are. You've done for me. Help us sing that. Sing blessings and glory and honor. They all belong to you. Thank you, Jesus. For the blessing, Lord. It's a church song. It's a church song. Let's take it up right here. Just wanna praise forever and ever and ever for all you've done for me. Hey, sing blessings and glory and honor. Hey, oh, belong to you. Thank you, Jesus, for the blessing, Lord. One more time. It's a church song. It's a church song. Forever and ever and ever. Oh, you've done for me. Sing blessing and glory and honor. They all, everybody say blessings and glory and honor. They all, everybody say blessings and glory and honor. So I hope you had a chance to give today. I wanted to make sure we're good. Amen. Listen, bear with us. We're working through some kinks. This is our first time doing this. I promise you it's going to get better, but this has been an amazing experience. I want to thank everybody who's participated in this entire experience, who made this happen today, because this doesn't happen easily, and I could not have done this by myself. So thank God for my entire team. I have a couple of announcements, and then we're going to be on our way. We have not stopped at all since the pandemic started. We immediately switched over to virtual, and we have not taken a break. So I made an executive decision, and next week we're taking a week off. So there will not be any daily bread. We're going to give our people time to rest. Next Saturday, we're going to have the day off. Everybody just take the day to rest, including me, because I need to sit down too.
Thank you.
Amens now. Too many amen. Ain't nobody say amen all the whole day. I sit down, now y'all want to get. I'm sick of you. All right, that's enough. So we're taking the 4th of July off and celebrating Independence Day, celebrating the day off, today off. I decided to celebrate the 4th of July. Let me some pastor, please. All right. Pandemic started. Wednesday, day high numbers. So that we're doing back in May, I'm still to have. That's what we're masking most. Mics. This is political. This is not a issue. I mean, we over spiritualize it right now. Don't say God got me. I don't worry about it. God gave you a mask. And he gave you the medical community, a mask might save your life and save the life of other people. Please, wear a mask, save a life, okay? That's it. I gotta get out of the way. We're gonna get out of here. We're gonna sing our song that we always sing. The lady who does not like to be called first is going to lead us out. Okay, we'll go with that. She's gonna lead us out. Go ahead, lady.
So we sing a song called Light, and we've been continuing to sing it while we're in quarantine, except for I changed the key in quarantine. So we're going to continue to sing it in the key that I've been singing. Amen. There are times when you need someone. There is a light that shines, special for you and me. I will be by your side. There is a light that shines, special for you and me.
As you create, I got this virtual space, and never, ever, 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 ever dismiss us from your presence. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen, amen, amen.
There is a light that shines, special for you and me. He's someone I will be by your side. There is a light that shines, special for you and me. He's someone I will be by your side. There is a light that shines, special for you and me.